In the heart of ancient Benin city, where the mighty Iroko trees stood as silent sentinels, guarding generations of history, lived a young man named Osaro. He belonged to a family of respected bronze casters, their hands shaping molten metal into intricate sculptures that adorned the Oba's palace and echoed the rich heritage of the Edo kingdom. Osaro possessed a rare talent, his creations imbued with a lifelike quality that belied his youth. He was betrothed to Izehi, a woman whose beauty was as radiant as the polished brass he worked with, and their future shimmered with the promise of prosperity and happiness. Osaro's closest friend was Egosa, a man whose charm was as captivating as the stories he spun. They had grown up together, their bond seemingly as unbreakable as the bronze they revered. Egosa, however, harbored a secret envy for Osaro's talent and his impending union with Izehi, for he too admired her from afar, a silent flame of resentment burning within him. The Oba had commissioned Osaro to create a magnificent bronze head, a tribute to a revered ancestor for an upcoming festival. This was a great honor, one that would solidify Osaro's standing among the master casters. Egosa, outwardly supportive, offered his assistance, spending hours in Osaro's workshop, seemingly eager to help. Unbeknownst to Osaro, Egosa was weaving a web of deceit. He knew of Osaro's occasional indulgence in palm wine, a weakness he subtly encouraged, often plying him with more than he could handle. During one such evening, when Osaro was lost in a drunken stupor, Egosa stole a small, intricately carved ivory tusk, a prized possession of a wealthy merchant and a close confidant of the Oba. The theft was discovered swiftly, causing a ripple of unease through the city. The merchant, enraged by the loss of such a valuable heirloom, demanded justice. Suspicion soon fell upon Osaro. He had been seen near the merchant's compound on several occasions, delivering a small bronze figurine. Furthermore, Egosa, feigning concern, subtly steered the investigators towards Osaro, mentioning his recent bouts of drinking and hinting at a possible need for money. A search of Osaro's workshop, conducted while he was still reeling from the effects of the previous night, yielded nothing. However, Egosa, under the guise of tidying up, had carefully planted the ivory tusk within a hidden compartment in Osaro's sleeping quarters. The discovery of the tusk was damning. Despite Osaro's vehement denials, the evidence seemed irrefutable. The merchant, influential and furious, pressed for severe punishment. The Oba, though holding Osaro's talent in high regard, was bound by the laws of the land and the weight of the evidence presented. Izehi, her heart breaking, pleaded for Osaro's innocence, her tears flowing like the molten bronze he once commanded. She spoke of his honest nature, his dedication to his craft, but her words were overshadowed by the seemingly concrete proof against him. Egosa, outwardly consoling both Osaro and Izehi, secretly reveled in his meticulously crafted scheme. He visited Osaro in the dimly lit prison cell, his eyes filled with false sympathy. "Brother," he'd say, his voice laced with feigned sorrow, "I cannot believe this has happened. I will do everything in my power to prove your innocence." Osaro, betrayed and bewildered, clung to Egosa's words, his trust in his friend unwavering. He couldn't fathom the depth of the treachery that had ensnared him. The trial was swift and somber. The ivory tusk, the circumstantial evidence of his presence near the merchant's compound, and the whispers of his occasional drunkenness painted a damning picture. Despite his impassioned pleas of innocence, the judgment was harsh. Osaro was found guilty of theft, and due to the high value and significance of the stolen item, sentenced to life imprisonment. The vibrant world Osaro knew crumbled around him. The rhythmic clang of his hammer was replaced by the cold silence of his cell. The warmth of Izehi's embrace was now a distant memory. The bright future that once beckoned was extinguished, swallowed by the shadow of injustice. Izehi never gave up on Osaro's innocence. She spent years tirelessly seeking any shred of evidence that might exonerate him. She questioned everyone, her once radiant beauty now etched with worry and determination. But Egosa had been meticulous, leaving no trace of his deceit. Years turned into decades. Osaro, once a vibrant artist, became a shadow of his former self. His spirit slowly eroded by the weight of his unjust confinement. The intricate patterns he once sculpted in bronze were now etched in the lines of despair on his face. Egosa, meanwhile, thrived. He subtly insinuated himself into Osaro's family's affairs, offering false comfort and eventually even courting and marrying Izehi. His envy finally satiated. He lived in Osaro's home, surrounded by the very symbol of his friends, talent, and his own betrayal. One day, an old market vendor, a woman known for her sharp memory and keen observations, recalled seeing Egosa lurking near the merchant's compound on the day of the theft. She had dismissed it at the time, but the persistent rumors of Osaro's innocence sparked a flicker of memory. She approached Izehi, now bearing Egosa's children, and shared her recollection. A seed of doubt, long dormant beneath layers of grief and resignation, began to sprout in Izehi's heart. She started to observe Egosa more closely, noticing subtle inconsistencies in his stories, a fleeting look of unease in his eyes when Osaro's name was mentioned. Driven by a renewed sense of hope and a gnawing suspicion, Izehi began her own investigation, piecing together fragments of information, revisiting old testimonies. Slowly, painstakingly, the truth began to unravel. She discovered Egosa's subtle encouragement of Osaro's drinking, his convenient presence during the search of Osaro's workshop. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place when a remorseful acquaintance of Egosa, burdened by guilt for having witnessed a small part of Egosa's scheme, finally confessed the truth to Izehi. He revealed how Egosa had boasted in secret about his plan to frame Osaro, fueled by envy and desire. Armed with the devastating truth, Izehi confronted the elders and the Oba. The revelation of Egosa's treachery sent shockwaves through the community. Justice, though delayed, demanded its due. Egosa, confronted with the evidence, finally confessed, his carefully constructed facade crumbling. But the truth, though revealed, could not undo the years of injustice. Osaro, broken in spirit and health, was finally released from prison. He returned to a city that had moved on, to a woman who had once been his, now bearing another man's children. The vibrant artist had been silenced, his talent withered by the long shadow of wrongful imprisonment. Osaro's tale became a tragic legend in the kingdom, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of envy and betrayal, and the enduring pain of a life unjustly stolen. Osaro spent half the better part of his life in prison. He was broken and never made friends again because he never trusted anyone again. The mighty Iroko trees continued to stand, but now their rustling leaves seemed to whisper a lament for the gifted bronze caster who fell victim to the shadow of his own friend.